Deep down in my soul, I have a dream, and it's a dream I want to share with all of you. It's the dream of an oak church, a church built from the old ways, the Celtic ways, the Irish ways, the Welsh ways, the Scottish ways, the Manx ways, the Cornish ways. A church grown in the heart, filled with spirit and spirits. A church where Jesus and Mary and Bridget hold hands and all the old ways are honored. So I invite you to share this dream with me as we go to church today. In the name of the one life that flows through all of us, welcome to this episode of the Oak Church. Thank you so much for being here. This really is a dream that was born in my heart, a dream that came through my work with the wondrous soul that is Bridget, a dream of a place where Druidry, Celtic spirituality, and the Christo-paganry that I love so much come together to live and breathe and run free. A place where we can gather and talk and speak from the heart. And I do want to hear from you. This is a place for all of us. It's a place different from where I grew up. You see, I grew up in the Baptist church. My great-grandfather was a Southern Baptist minister. My grandfather was a missionary Baptist minister. And if you know anything about them, you know that they felt that the Southern Baptists were a little too liberal and they went off in their own way. So I grew up in a very conservative church. I used to go over to my great-grandmother's house, and we'd study the Bible, and I'd play music on the organ, and we'd sing hymns together. I fell in love with Jesus when I was just a child. I remember answering the altar call and getting baptized when I was probably too young to make that decision. But I knew in my heart that it was the right thing to do. All my life, I tried to be a worthy servant of the Lord, which is what I thought I was meant to do. As we moved around, I worked at various churches, always as a volunteer, looking forward to that day when I would go off to seminary and I would become a preacher. But see, the problem is, the more I got invested in this dream, the more I started to study, and the more questions I started to have. Long story short, and don't worry, we can talk more about my life if you guys really want to, but I don't think I'm all that special. I ended up in adulthood converting to Catholicism because I was trying to reconnect with that ancient root of the church. I was trying to reconnect to something that my heart knew was missing in the Protestant churches that I had grown up in. And for a while, I thought I found it. I found our Blessed Mother Mary, and she opened my heart and my eyes to a world of beauty, of spirituality, and of depth that I didn't know I could have. But it wasn't enough. Something was wrong. You know that feeling? You're sitting there in the pews, you're saying all the right words, you're taking all the right actions, you're going to all the sacraments, and something's just gnawing at you. Now see, I gave you the abbreviated version of that story. There's a side version of that story that doesn't fit in quite as well. You see, while I asked Jesus into my heart when I was about 7 years old, when I was about 11, I bought my first book on Celtic magic. It wasn't a very good one, but it means a lot to me. There's a nostalgia quality to me. It opened up a pathway that I hadn't known about before. It was DJ Conway's Celtic Magic. And for the first time, I saw names that I had never seen before. Bridget and Lou and Dagda and Morgan, Druid. These words fascinated me. And so while I was struggling with the institutional imperial church on the one side, I was also living in this land of my ancestors, trying to connect to it. I bought books on Druidry. I joined some orders, learned various kinds of magic. And I know those are words you're probably not expecting to hear from a church podcast, or you're expecting that turn in a minute where I learn from my wicked ways. Well, the thing is, I didn't. You see, what was missing in all these years was that connection to the old ways. You see, no matter how far into Catholicism I went, something still gnawed at me. There was something wrong. And then I discovered Orthodoxy. And I got close to converting to Orthodoxy, but I never quite got there because it still didn't feel right. But it was hard for me to figure out what was missing. And then I read the works of Matthew Fox. Now, Matthew Fox and his creation spirituality opened my eyes and changed the way that I see the world. It changed the way I understood everything. And the biggest part of that change was he pointed his finger right at the thing that had been bothering me for all those years. What was the thing that was wrong? It was original sin. It was this idea that we were all cursed because of something an ancestor did aeons ago, maybe even in the dream time of myth. And I just couldn't see how that worked. Because, see, I had read the Bible from cover to cover several times and knew that God doesn't put the sins of the parents on their children. That's not how the Lord acts. It's not how the Lord works in the scripture. In fact, it says that many, many times. So the idea that this is the one exception to that rule stood out very strong to me. It didn't really make sense why, for this one thing, not only all of humankind, but the entire cosmos had been cursed for the actions of one man and one woman. And so I looked into original sin and found out that it came from one person, Augustine. And Augustine was having a fight with another man, a man from the British Isles, a man that we can only describe as Celtic because we don't know if he was Irish or Welsh or exactly where in the British Isles he came from. We do know that he wore an Irish tonsure because Augustine makes fun of him for having his hair in the style of the Irish. So he may have been Irish, or at least he was perceived as such by Augustine. And this man is the greatest boogeyman that the church, the imperial church, has ever known. His name was Pelagius. And Pelagius didn't believe in this new idea of original sin. He didn't believe that we were all cursed, that we were separated from God because of something that one person did, or two, eons ago, in the deep recesses of time, to the point where no one could even prove that it happened. No, said Pelagius, there's grace in everything. There's grace in the world. There's grace in nature. There's grace in our relationships. There's grace in everything. And the church went back and forth, and eventually Augustine got his way and was kicked out. And that to me is where everything went wrong for the church. We see this spirit try to rise several times. We see it in the work of Eriugena and many of the great Celtic saints. We see it in the Irish church and the Welsh church and the Scottish church, who would not let go of their gods and brought them into the faith as saints. We see this in this struggle to keep a hold of the old ways, that you can love God and love the way you've always lived. And it took me a while to get here, but now that I have this dream, a dream of an oak church. Why an oak church? We see Saint Bridget, who may or may not have been a flesh and blood human being. I tend to believe the story that she was a flesh and blood human being, probably the druid of a flame shrine to the goddess Bridget, who took on her name, who converted to Christianity and kept the old ways alive in the church, where they kept the eternal flame alive until the Protestant reformers came in and tore that church down. We see her church was in Kildare. It was the Oak Church. And I thought to myself, that's what we need. We don't need a church built out of stone and gold and all the trappings that go with it. We need a church that's rooted in the earth, in nature, in the spirituality that comes right from our sweet Mother Earth, from God, the one life that's flowing through all of us, that connects us one to another and helps us to find our way home. Not in some afterlife, though praise be God, we get to meet him there, but here and now with our friends and our family, rooted deep down into the earth with arms and branches reaching up into the heavens so that we can dream the dream of the stars. Because I don't know if you hear this from the pulpit enough, but we are made of star stuff. The very atoms of your being were forged in the fire of the Big Bang. They came about in the crucible of the stars that gave their lives to make the calcium in your bones and the iron in your blood. We are star stuff, living, breathing, ensouled, life, star stuff. And that's the church that we need. A church that remembers the old ways and that celebrates the new. A church connected to the Celtic spirituality of our ancestors. And let me tell you a little secret. It doesn't matter if you're Irish or not. The Irish were a tribe, not an ethnicity. If you vibe with the Celts, you can come along with us. You can join us. You can be part of the tribe, part of the Tua. We can all move forward together as one people, with all of our diversity, with all of our voices. And that's the dream that got born in me. This dream of a church where the loving practices of the Druids come down and help us to live our daily lives, to seek justice and peacemaking, to seek the glorious Awen, the very breath of creation that flows through all things and inspires us to do beautiful art, to cook glorious food, to dance, to sing, to speak truth to power. That's another thing of the Druids, truth. Truth is living in right relationship with the land, with the people, and with ourselves. In right relationship to our ancestors, whether they are from our bloodline, which is the people that gave birth to us, our milk line, the people that nourished us, or our landlines, those who lived on the land before we did. They are all our ancestors. They are all our people, and we need to honor them and live in right relationship with them. This is the dream of the Oak Church, that we can gather together in the full power of the earth, the sea, and the sky, in praise to the one life, where we can say with sincerity what St. Columba said in irony, that Jesus is our Druid. He is the one who mediates peace, the lawgiver, the interpreter of truth, and that through that spirit and through his glorious teachings, we can find the way home into that glorious kingdom that will not come by expectation. Why do so many people in the church today just not listen to Jesus? The kingdom will not come by expectation. They will never say, lo, here it is, lo, there it is. For the kingdom of heaven is amongst you. You just don't see it. The kingdom is here. God is here. The great and glorious world that we're wanting to go to is here. It is now. And there are many forces out there that want to distract us and blind us into hate and division, to tell us how we should live, who we should love, how we should dress. They want to tell us who we are and not listen to us when we answer their question. Because see, they're not asking a question. They're imposing an answer. Because that's the church of the empire. That's the church that had to get rid of the sacredness of all the world and the sacredness of all life. See, if you find grace in your fellow human beings, if you find grace in nature, then the empire can't exploit those bodies for its pointless and meaningless wars. If you find grace in this beautiful earth beneath our feet, then the empire can't exploit its resources and dig up its soil and deface its land and poison its waters. If you find grace in the hearts and smiles of the children, that you might worry about the future world that you're living and giving them. And you might want to make better decisions than what you've been making. And the empire can't have that. The empire can't have you thinking for yourself, making your own decisions. No, the empire needs us to do what it wants. And I'm not a conspiracy theorist. This isn't one empire that's lasted for thousands of years. This is a church that has been the willing tool of every empire it has ever encountered, whether that's the Roman Church, the Byzantine Church, the Russian Church, the English Church, the church in Virginia that decided to say that black people weren't human beings when they were given the choice. That church that decided to institutionalize chattel slavery and to support it for all those centuries. It's the church that even today doesn't look at what Jesus told us to look for, how we can help our fellows, because 2 commandments he gave us. There are 2 greatest commandments: that we love God with all of our heart, mind, and spirit, and that we love our neighbors as ourselves. And in between those 2, he says the second is like the first, because God is in each and every one of us. The one Spirit is in each and every one of us. That one life is in each and every one of us. And if you see that and you give the adoration to your fellow human being that you owe to God, then you can't let children starve. You can't let the sick go without treatment. You can't let the thirsty go without water, or the naked without clothing, the homeless without shelter. You can't let the prisoner go without visitation. You can't let the refugee struggle without your help. By the way, all of those things are what Jesus says he's going to judge us on. And those who help those in need, he will say, "Come to me, my good and faithful servants." And those who do not help them, he's going to say, "Depart from me, for you never knew me." And I don't know how anyone who has any modicum of love for Jesus or fear of God can look at that and say to themselves that they are not going to help the hungry, the poor, the refugee, the prisoner, the sick, the naked, and the needy. My Jesus, our Jesus, the Jesus who lives in the Church of the Oak, tells us and reminds us that they are the ones that we are supposed to be helping. They are the reason we are here. We are supposed to be the peacemakers, making peace not just between warring factions, but between people and their needs, between people and their struggles, so that they can find the peace that passes all understanding. This is the work of the church that Jesus called us to do. That peace between the old ways and the new. That peace between our hearts and the world outside of us. I understand being angry at the world, but we have to fix it. We have to restore it. We have to rebuild it through the wondrous power of the Awen and through the glorious gifts we have in the one life, to make it a place that is filled with justice and peace and hope for every person in it. That's the call to the Oak Church. That's the call that I'm here to put out to you, my siblings, sisters, and brothers. That is the call that will unite us and help us to move forward. And just because you're here right now, hearing the sound of my voice, then the one life is calling out through you to listen. I might not be the one that you need to listen to. You might need to listen to yourself. You might need to listen to your parents, to the tradition you were raised in. When I was a kid, I was told that we didn't leave people hurting. If we saw somebody hungry on the street, we got them a meal. That's the world I grew up in. And that's the world we need again. Welcome to the Church of the Oak. This is not a church that you join. This is a church that you become a part of, that you become part of the movement of. See, I don't think the idea of the Oak Church is something that should be owned by me or by anyone else. The Church of the Oak should be owned by all of us. So I'm going to be talking to you from my point of view and from my perspective. But we're here to engage in dialogue. And that's where you can have wonderful conversation with me and with all of us here. Several places you can do that over at creationspaths.com. We have a community set up over there. You can go over into the chat. Let us know what you're thinking, what you're feeling. Let us know how you relate to these ideas, how you see yourself being a part of this glorious Church of the Oaks that we're here to build. While you're there, you can check out our other podcast. It's daily, Monday through Friday, where we talk about all manner of spiritual things. It's me and my husband, Brian, just sharing on all manner of topics. And hopefully, by the time this comes out, our third podcast will also be available over there, The Hollowstead, which is going to have all manner of meditations and practices and prayers for you to help you on your way as you're getting in touch with this part of you that you may have let go for too long. And if you're already a practicing Druid, if you're a witch, a lot of Christo-pagan witches out there, hopefully this is a place for you. If you're a Protestant who's never heard of these terms, if you're shaking like, wait, what? Did you say Christo-pagan witch? Yes, they're out there in the world and they are beautiful people. You're welcome here too. Just because I work with Bridget and Lou and the Dagda and McNana and MacLear doesn't mean that you have to. Because that's what a real community is. Real community doesn't tell you how to believe. It opens the gates of belief to you so that you might walk in. So welcome. And hopefully this is a new home for you here in the Church of the Oak. You can also find all of my writings over at wisdomscry.com. And if you want to help us out, just maybe sign up for a membership over at Creations Pass. We got some classes that are coming your way that I think you're really going to like. And talking about that a little bit more when they get closer. Thank you so much for being here. May the blessings and light of the Awen ever shine upon you as you learn to live more firmly rooted in the one life. Amen.